In the sprawling city of Greystone, the 90s were a time of relentless growth. Buildings glowed upward toward the sky, and the clang of construction echoed through the streets. Dust hung heavy in the air as new neighborhoods sprang up and old ones were reshaped. For Emma, a shy and lonely 10-year-old, the city's evolution mirrored her yearning for change. Emma spent most afternoons wandering alone through the unfinished patches of Greystone. Her schoolmates, with their sharp laughter and cruel whispers, excluded her from their games. Even her attempts to join in were met with mocking or indifference. Despite her efforts, she had become the target of their jokes, a sad little girl who kept to herself. One gray afternoon, Emma found herself in a vacant lot, surrounded by skeletal scaffolding and mounds of dirt. Armed with a rusty garden trowel she had found in her backyard, she decided to dig for a treasure. Her imagination painted vibrant pictures, glittering gold coins, a pirate's chest, or even some ancient artifact hidden beneath the city's surface. As the trowel scraped against the dirt, she felt the resistance of something solid. Excitement surged through her. With frantic hands, she moved the earth aside and discovered a smooth green crystal the size of a large marble. Its surface glowed faintly, even in the dim light of the overcast day. Emma held it up to the sky, marveling at its luminous beauty. "What are you?" she murmured, entranced. She slipped the crystal into her pocket and hurried home. That night she threaded a string through a tiny hole at the top and tied it around her neck. The crystal hummed against her chest with a warmth that felt strangely comforting. The next day at school, Emma was nervous as usual. She had grown accustomed to sidelong glances and whispered insults. Yet as she walked into class, she noticed something unusual. Heads turned, not in derision, but in interest. "Hey, Emma!" Sarah, the ringleader of the girls who usually ignored her, waved her over. "Do you want to sit with us?" Emma blinked in surprise but nodded, her heart pounding. The girls scooted over to make room. During recess, more children invited her to join their games. They laughed at her jokes, complimented her drawings, and asked her questions about herself. For the first time in what felt like forever, Emma felt seen. Day after day, the transformation continued. Teachers praised her more often, classmates sought her out, and even the school bully, Max, softened his usual sneers into awkward smiles. Emma began to wear the crystal everywhere. She was too afraid to take it off, even for a moment. Among her new companions, one boy stood out, Paul. Unlike the others, his kindness felt unforced. He didn't just laugh at her jokes, he told her his own. He didn't just include her in games, he made sure she felt comfortable and valued. They spent hours talking about books, TV shows, and their dreams for the future. "You're different," Emma told him one day as they shared a bag of chips during lunch. Paul tilted his head. "Different how?" "Like, you actually like me, not just because of—" She hesitated, touching the crystal beneath her shirt. Paul grinned. "Of course I like you, silly. You're my best friend." Emma beamed, feeling warmth spread through her chest, different from the crystal's hum. For months, Emma's life was blissful. She had friends, laughter, and a sense of belonging she had never known before. But one fateful afternoon, during gym class, everything changed. Emma and her classmates were playing dodgeball. She dove to avoid a throw, landing hard on the gym floor. She winced as she felt something snap against her chest. Pulling the crystal from beneath her shirt, she saw it had fractured into jagged pieces. Panic set in as she tried to hold the fragments together, but the faint glow had vanished. The change in her classmates was immediate. By the time gym ended, the warm smiles had been replaced by cold stares. Whispers began to circulate again, and Sarah walked past her with a dismissive flick of her hair. "Figures," Max sneered. "She's such a weirdo." Emma's heart sank. All the kindness, all the acceptance, it had vanished as quickly as the crystal's glow. But Paul didn't change. When Emma sat alone at lunch, staring at her tray, he plopped down across from her, as cheerful as ever. "What's wrong?" he asked, biting into a sandwich. Emma hesitated, then pulled the broken crystal from her pocket. She explained everything, finding it the way people's attitudes had shifted and how it had now stopped working. So it was fake, she finished, her voice trembling. No one really liked me, not even you. Paul frowned, then reached across the table to take her hand. That's not true. I don't care about some dumb rock. I liked you before I even noticed it. Emma looked up, tears in her eyes. You did? Of course, Paul said simply. You're funny, smart, and kind. That's what matters, not some magic crystal. His words sank in, and Emma felt something lift inside her. For so long she had relied on the crystal, thinking it was the key to being loved. But Paul had shown her that real friendship didn't need tricks or illusions. The days that followed weren't easy. Without the crystal, Emma faced ridicule again. Sarah and her clique avoided her, and Max resumed his teasing. But Emma no longer felt as alone. Paul was always by her side, and she found herself growing braver. She discovered other kids who shared her interests, ones who didn't care about popularity or appearances. Slowly but surely, Emma began to rebuild her sense of self, this time on a foundation of genuine connection. One afternoon, as she and Paul sat on the swings at the park, she dug the broken crystal out of her pocket. I think I'll keep it, she said. Why? Paul asked, curious. To remind me of what's real. She smiled, holding it up to the fading sunlight. Though it no longer glowed, it still caught the light in beautiful ways. Paul grinned. Sounds like a good idea. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Emma felt a quiet happiness settle over her. She might not have a magic crystal anymore, but she had something far more precious, a true friend. And that, she realized, was the greatest treasure of all.